Special show for everyone here. Have our first guest on our new live stream format. So those watching the recording of the podcast live um, might see some fun. What's the word I'm looking for? Working out of equipment here. Me and Art hopped on last week to try to work out the bugs. Things went perfectly with no flaws. And then he hopped on a while ago, and I was having a little trouble hearing him. And so we'll see what happens, but it'll be fun nonetheless. Hey, Charles, thanks for hopping on here with me. For those that didn't see it, Charles did a live drawing. It's on YouTube of Linus and the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Might be one of the best you've done, Charles. Go check that out when you guys get a chance. I saw it on YouTube. It's probably on Twitch as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Charles, but go check out that live drawing. Hey, Ken, it's good to see you here. I hope you're feeling better, doing better. I know you're getting stronger, and it's good to have you here. Pepper Tree Villa, Arnie, Doug, guys, thanks for hopping in. I'm sorry I missed the live stream this past Monday. Those guys go live Monday at 8:30. Sometimes Mondays are a little tricky for me because of work, but I'll be there when I can. But I did start watching the replay on that. They will be Christmas themed throughout rest this year from what I gather. So that's exciting. Hey, Mikey, it's good to have you in here. And Holly, it's good to have you here. Shocked you showed up, but I just that's just teasing there. She's keeping everybody straight in line with her moderation. So, again, like I said, this will be a go to see how all this is. For those that don't know, I think everybody's been here before, but I'll recap it for those maybe on the replay. This is actually a live stream. It's also a live recording of the Christmas Clatter podcast. So once I get rolling into the podcast format, I'll probably be ignoring the comments a little bit. I have a special guest on. And then once the recording of the podcast is over, those that listen on the podcast, it'll stop. But for those here in the chat, we'll stick around for a special live Q&A. If you guys have any questions or comments about what we talked about, we'll get to them. Then Santa Dad Randy, man, it's good to see you hop in here. It's good to have I would say your smiling face, but it's covered up with your Georgia Bulldogs mug there. But it's good to have you on here with us. It's a lot of fun. So I won't sit here and just jabber too much, and we'll get on with it. And with the start of the recording of the podcast, I need to get a graphic down there. You think that guys would help if I got a graphic that said podcast is recording? That way, people know what's going on, or you think I just need not to mind on that? I'm not sure, but we'll get started on the podcast. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Christmas Clatter, a special episode for you. The first guest of the new format, the first guest in a while. And in fact, he was booked to be my first guest when I was planning on coming back at the normal time in the spring. But as everybody knows, that kind of went by the wayside. So here we are making things right. And I'm so proud to have him on. If you're not sure who that is, haven't seen it on the social medias, you'll find out soon enough. But a little bit of housekeeping. I've talked about going weekly, like in October, and a special announcement on that. We're going weekly right now. This is my first of the weekly shows through Christmas. So every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be right here on Christmas Clatter, trying to bring you guys, and not bring it. You guys bring the community, but trying to make the best Christmas community we can, and enjoying this sprint towards Christmas. As you look at your calendar, it is filling up fast. So I started, planning, shopping trips and, times to go visit some like historical sites that are really cool around Christmas. And that calendar fills up fast because the number of weekends is short and for the rest of the year. So it is now officially the sprint towards Christmas. And you guys may be tired of hearing me talk about it, but christmasclatter.live/planner. If you guys want to get a actual physical planner in your hands to help with your holiday season, that's the place to go. That's christmasclatter.live/planner. That's taking you to the Amazon page for the planner I helped design. And that would be a great support for the channel. If you guys are tired of me hearing me talk about the planner, and I tell you the truth, I'm a little weary myself. I'm not much of a salesman. If you're tired of it, just buckle up. As we as we say in the house to the kids a lot, buckle up, Buttercup, because I will be hitting the planner hard in October, because that's when a lot of people start really migrating towards the Christmas season, and want to get it into as many hands as I can. I believe the price on Amazon is $8.99, $9 basically. So, like I said, christmasclatter.live/planner. And if you've been one of the people that have bought the planner, and many of you have, I appreciate it. If you could take some time and go leave a review on Amazon for me, that would be another great big help. So I appreciate it all. And I believe that is all the announcements right now. Looking ahead, long-term looking ahead, be looking out for the Christmas puzzle exchange coming back this year. That will be probably a week or so before Halloween when we'll start getting that organized and together. So be looking out for that. And in a few weeks, not next week, but the week after, our live, hopefully, I'll be on the road. So it'll at least be from a hotel room, but it may actually, if things work out properly, this is a big if, and it's a big promise. I can't promise it, but fingers crossed, and Christmas miracles do happen. If it's possible, the live stream will be from Bronner's in Frankenmuth, Michigan. So we'll see what happens there. If the live stream doesn't happen from there, there'll be plenty of times I'll be going live either on YouTube, kind of spontaneously through the day, or Instagram or Facebook. I'll be visiting there. So just be on the lookout for that. It's not next week, but the week after we'll be there. And I believe that is all the teasers and announcements I have. And let me bring on a guy. I don't remember if he's ever been on the podcast before. If he has, I don't remember, and that's a shame because I thought I remembered everything. Maybe he can clarify it when he's on here. But I'm bringing in Art. A lot of you know him from Cozy Christmas Podcast, which he does a fantastic job on that. He also has a YouTube channel called the BookShelf Odyssey. He's known as Art the Bookworm. He just loves books. He's a wonderful man, a great guy. He's become one of my better friends in the podcast community. We talk quite a bit and enjoy his insights and his perspective on things. And we actually got to meet last year and have lunch together, and I showed him around our little quaint river town here. So let me bring him. Let me say it like this without any further ado. Here's my Christmas conversation with Art. All right, this will be edited out of the podcast. I'm going to bring Art up, and hopefully everything goes well. So there we go. That will have to be edited out as well. So let's do a mic check real quick, Art, and make sure I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
For some reason, I'm just getting you in one
Are you still getting only in one?
Only in one, so I'm going to check on.
Okay.
For those out there on the YouTube, let me let me ask you: can you guys hear Art? Okay, if you can hear Art just fine, let me know and I'll just roll with it.
Well, I suppose I should say something
Yeah,
interesting into the
yeah.
microphone.
So, Art, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, I don't know. No. Yeah, I am a husband, father of three wonderful kids. I have a wonderful podcast I enjoy doing. Um, it's a lot of fun.
All right.
And so, okay, well,
Okay. Loud and clear.
loud and clear. Good.
All right. Awesome. So it's something on my end, and I'm not going to worry about it because I can hear you well enough. So
Okay,
that was
perfect.
our false start. That's the joy of being here live and watching the magic happen, guys. And people that listen on the podcast will never be none the wiser. So
That's right. Well, I figured you had me on to work out the bugs, and I promise I won't rage quit the channel or anything if it
well,
doesn't work.
that's
So,
why I brought you on, Art, because of all the people I know, you are the least likely to get mad and storm off. So I just needed someone to sit there quietly and politely until I could figure it out. That's what it is.
there you are.
But so bringing Art on here, we did something a little different. A lot of people do a movie review or a book review, and I had this idea of um, finding a Hallmark movie was first thing in my mind, and and a lot of those have a book to go with them. And I was kind of looking for a movie that they also like just did the book adaptation of, because that happens a lot. Of a movie will come out. I used to have it. I think it was the first Hulk movie that came out. I had like the paperback book version that was released either like at the same time as the book. It was basically the exact same thing, just in book form. And so I was looking for something like that, but it was a little tough. So I found a Hallmark movie that was based on a book. The book was still available in lots of places, and the movie was still available to see. And I settled on a book called The Mistletoe Promise by Richard Paul Evans. And at first, we're going to kind of do this in segments. We're going to talk about the movie first, then the book, and then kind of towards the end, kind of compare and contrast what we liked, what we didn't like, and all that. So the movie came out, and let me pull up my notes here. Um, Came out 2015, I believe, 15, 16. That's not, I guess it's not
Sounds
all
right.
that important. It stars Jamie King. A lot of people know her, or I guess most people would know her from playing Lemon, the character Lemon in the Heart of Dixie TV show. That's the only place I knew her from. I looked up her IMDb and didn't really recognize anything else. And then, and then it, and then the McFarlane actor that's in basically every other Hallmark movie is in it. And it's a story that he's a lawyer trying to make a partner, and it's a family law, and um, yeah, and um, it's a partner, and he's in family law. He's a single guy, and family law is in the family law firm. It is very important to like have a family unit, and so he doesn't have anybody for the holidays, for all the meetings. There's this other lady who's divorced, and her husband has half her business that she started, her ex-husband, and he's a big jerk. And he always gets his new girlfriend um, all these spots. They kind of meet in this food court, kind of lightly propose this contract of we'll pretend to be each other's dates for Christmas things. And in traditional Hallmark fashion, fall in love and kiss in the snow at the end. You know.
Yep.
So, did I leave anything out, Art?
Well, you left out my favorite part, which were the carolers at the beginning that kind of heckled them.
Yeah, those were pretty aggressive carolers. Carol, I can't even say it out loud. I can say it off the side.
Right.
They were pretty aggressive. I mean, they would get right. They were sitting there eating, and they would come and like lean down in your face and play their guitar and sing, you know.
Yeah.
And it
I
was
I loved them. The first time they appeared, I jumped out of my chair because it just came through real loud, and
yeah,
I had to rewind that because I was like, that's hilarious.
right, right, and but they were funny. They were funny. For Hallmark movies, a lot of people say you know, I don't want to just rehash what Hallmark movies are, but for Hallmark movies goes, this one was pretty enjoyable. Some of the acting was a little off in certain
Yeah.
parts. There were some weird green screen moments too, but I mean it's Hallmark, so I'm not going to expect top notch CGI or anything. But I really like the premise of you know let's just you know pretend to be each other's date to get through the holiday parties to put up a front. Um, I really like that premise, except I kind of got confused because they were like feeling bad that they were lying to people because people thought they were a real couple, and then but then somehow it's hard to explain, but they thought they were like taking the moral high ground, on it, and 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 so it was kind of a little bit, I'm confused just trying to talk about it. It's
Yeah.
like they're sitting there, they're pretending to be this couple just so this Nick Dare character can make partner because he has a feeling he'll never make partner unless he's moving towards being a family man. And then somehow that gets construed as no one's ever worked this hard to become partner before. It's what no one's lied to Steve before to get partner. So that just
Right.
kind of left me wondering, what's going on here. Um, and uh, she helped him a lot more than he ended up helping her in this movie because it's supposed to be this kind of mutual understanding of you help me get through these parties and stuff, and I'll help you get through your parties. But I don't remember. I don't remember if they. I think they went to one of her parties, kind of thing, and he had two or three to go to. So
Yeah. And then he also helped out or tried to help out her, her ex-husband's current girlfriend.
right,
He tried to help her out almost more than he helped her out.
right, right. The
Yeah,
current girlfriend. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say it's an odd choice, and I thought maybe they're going to try to do a love triangle there, but it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, there was a big promotion. They have this side gig, the Elise Dutton character in the movie, the main character. She's a travel agent, and she has a side gig in the movie where she helps underprivileged kids take um, trips to like historical sites and stuff. So it's a big charity part of her business, and to raise awareness and raise money for it. The biggest news thing in Salt Lake City is the reindeer report, and her Elisa's ex-husband Dan gets his new girlfriend, who's this car model and kind of real ditzy, and to give the reindeer report, and Nick, who's a lawyer, is like, I can help you with that because I have to memorize stuff all the time, and he's just off in the side room helping her, and they're just being real theatrical about things, but it was just kind of odd. And then when the girlfriend gets up there to do the reindeer report on live TV, she completely freezes, and then that's when Nick shoves Elise up there, who just does a wonderful job. And I think they end up saying it was like the most reindeer report ever in Salt Lake City or something. And
Is that a high bar to pass, though? I wonder.
they said the reindeer report was like the most watched thing every year. I guess it was like
Okay.
even bigger than the Super Bowl. I guess more people in Salt Lake watched the reindeer report every year than the Super Bowl or something. But it was it was an interesting movie. It is worth. I wouldn't like go way out of my way to see it, but it is kind of a fun watch.
Mhm.
If and a lot of Hallmark stuff is just kind of a fun watch if you just kind of let it just wash over you a little bit and not look into it too deep. So
Yeah, yeah. It's like a, well, I don't know what to even compare it to, but yeah, it's just if you don't think too hard about it, just enjoy it for what it is. I think you'll do fine.
yeah, yeah, I agree. Like I said, there's not a lot to say about the movie. There'll be more to say about it after we talk about the book.
Mm.
But just the movie itself as a standalone, there's just not a lot to say about it other than it's the decorating of the tree hijinks that they usually have, a snowman building contest that is something that's not in every Hallmark movie, but it's in several, because they kind of replace baking cookies with snowman building, and there's almost tree decorating in every one of them, so there's like a few other kind of side Christmassy events that they kind of rotate in and out. And this one had the snowman building and that. So now let's talk about the book. And I will say about the book, boy, that took a turn.
Yes, it did.
Um, for
Goodness.
those watching on the live stream and those listening to the podcast, I will give this warning. Me and Art will dance around the topic. We will not get into it very detailed at all. There is a main plot point in the book, not in the movie. This is the book only, of a uh, accidental death of a child.
Mhm.
So if that's something that really just doesn't sit well with you, that you don't want to listen to or anything, just give us 15 minutes here and come back. Or if you're listening to this, I'll try to have the time stamped down to if we even glance over it. I don't. We might be able to talk the rest of this time without glancing, without even talking about it. But I'm not 100% sure. So I want to. I just want to put that caveat out there because it is a subject that neither one of us would enjoy talking about or do it
Right.
justice. And so, if that's the kind of thing that you're really not into, which I don't blame you because I'm not really either, or you don't want to listen to, or not in the mindset for whatever reason, please feel free to bow out until a later time of this episode. But the book is very different than the movie. I don't want to get too much in a compare contrast right now, but the Elise, well, I don't. The Elise character is divorced, but she's not working with her husband, and they
Mhm.
had a bunch of things go wrong. And then Nicholas is already a partner. Art, I don't think we can get through the book without just comparing the movies and telling the difference. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, but Nicholas is already a partner, and he, instead of a lighthearted like proposal of this mistletoe promise of pretending to be each other's, girlfriend boyfriend, it was more of a formal promise. Because he approaches
Yeah.
her with it, and Nick's loaded like crazy with the money,
Uh-huh.
and
The, well,
it's just
yeah,
it's
I don't
all
know. It's such an odd book.
yeah,
I had to laugh there at the beginning because similar to the movie, after they make their agreement, he starts giving her these lavish gifts every
right,
single day, like in the movie. But it sounds like they're even more than what is portrayed in the movie. And
right,
I kept thinking, this poor chump, he's going to have to keep that up now.
right.
You start giving your girlfriend these elaborate gifts every day. What happens when that begins to dwindle? Oh, you don't love me anymore.
Well, it does say that in the book that like the I don't know third, fourth day, something like that, she gets this cashmere scarf that's like $600, and
Yeah.
then a few weeks later, she lists and it's like a Michael Bublé CD was one of one of the gifts, and it's like, but one of the big differences between the book and the movie, the movie takes place just in December. That's it. the book starts in November, works through Thanksgiving, and works its way to Christmas. So the time frame in the book's quite a bit bigger. And Elise Dutton, instead of being a successful businesswoman and business owner, is kind of a depressed, frumpy lady, that's been through some hard things. And and the Nick Dare character kind of sees the hidden, diamond in the rough kind of thing. Not like Pretty in Pink or anything like that, but he just sees it in her. Whereas in the movie, the Nicholas Dunn Dare character is kind of, I wouldn't say depressed, but he's a little bit more frumpy, than the Elise character is, and he's the one trying to make partner and have things go his way. And the book starts off for me really great. Now, here's where we get to the sticky point. Then it comes to the point of this Elisa's accidental death of her child. And it's like it's a whole different book for that little bit. It's like such a curve, and it almost felt a little out of place. I'm not a big book reader, Art. I don't read a lot of books, but to me, it just felt out of place. Like it was almost shoehorned in there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I was going to say it really did, especially the manner of death. And I'm not going to go into details. It's just horrific, and it's not graphically explained or anything, but it's still, I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Did you put a different book in here? And then you understand, I think she has then good reason to be depressed and, hate the holiday time. And, I get that it's a good theme to talk about, that, Christmas isn't happy for everyone.
Right.
But I almost felt like it went way too far with that idea.
Yeah. I think they could have had the same message without that. And just have her like a divorced lady who had a crappy husband and a crappy, she had an abusive childhood growing up in the book. Just having that, and then a crappy husband that cheated on her and divorced her when she was in the hospital. I think that would have been enough of a, tragedy that they didn't have to bring this in. And like Art said, they don't go into detail, but they don't need to, because what happened, everybody knows. But that part really felt shoehorned in. To me, it felt a little odd that it was there.
Yeah, very, very odd. And I have some thoughts, maybe, my thoughts as to what he was trying to do with the end and everything. But I thought actually the movie here did it better in that sense. If, because I approached this book thinking, well, if Hallmark made a movie out of it, this is going to be a nice and cozy Christmas read. And then it takes, like you said, that really hard turn, and that kind of, I'm glad I read it in September and not in, December, because that probably would have put a cloud over my Christmas feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, dare I say it was unnecessary even to go that far in the book. But like I said, I was really enjoying, especially the beginning. It felt Christmassy. He really was tapping into the Christmas vibes and everything. And then before you know it, you're, boy, talk about a tragedy. Yeah, this poor woman has gone through a lot. And then we find out Nick has gone through his own share of heartache as well.
Yeah.
So two very broken people, very, very broken people.
Right. We find out Nick is involved in an accident that has people that died in it as well. And through Lisa's tragedy, it's almost like towards the end of the book, the book with that kind of follows the same points that the movie did of the dating and falling in love kind of thing, except there's this lingering thing that Elise is always thinking, if he finds out what happened, he'll never love me and he's going to go away. and then we find out that he has a similar, uh, tragedy in his life, so he understands completely, so he's not scared away. And then they, kind of pull this turn to where he was actually involved, with the investigation of that accidental death of Elisa's daughter, because he's a lawyer and at the time he's working for the prosecutor's office, which I felt a little forced too. Like, you're going to create this false backstory of people that met before but don't remember they did. And the parts when it gets to the heavy talking about their pasts and forgiveness and stuff like that, I understand the messaging that Richard Paul Evans was going for, but it felt to me a little out of place, tonality with the rest of the book. That said, those parts still did touch me. I'm an easy crier in a movie, and I listened to this audiobook, and there was a few times I was a little sweaty eyed, even though I didn't think that it was, that it fit very well, with everything else going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I don't even remember any kind of warning on the back of the book, that
Right.
the plot was even going to go in that direction. And so it's very much marketed as a cozy Christmas kind of read, but then you get into it and you're thinking, oh, this is dealing with heavy stuff. There needs to be some trigger warnings on this book, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree because there is no, warning at all about
Right.
any of it that is happening. And it's like, what is going on here? But overall, I think that if you would have and the book also had this towards the end, try to put in this like Cinderella parallel, where he's the Prince Charming and she's the Cinderella, and, kind of thing. That kind of came in a little late, and it's almost kind of like he tried to make it this quirky love, it's almost like there was three books in one. This quirky Hallmark, make a contract, we'll pretend to be boyfriend, girlfriend till we actually are. Then this story of how horrible our lives were, but we can, we can forgive ourselves and forgive each other for those kind of things. And then at the very last chapters, they kind of shoehorn this like Cinderella, kind of like, oh, this whole story has been a little bit like Cinderella, and it sounds like I'm hating on the book, and I'm not. I enjoyed it.
Right.
I thought the one part probably was a little bit too much, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was well written, and
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, your wife there mentions that the prologue refers to a possibility of a dark secret, which it does. I thought it was more of like she like maybe their contract is going to go bad or something, or
yeah,
go wrong. Because I was still in Hallmark mind, and because in the prologue she talks about, if there's a day I could erase, she knows what it would be. I don't know if I remember all the details of exactly what she says there now, but I think really take that prologue seriously. Then it's a
yeah,
pretty dark secret. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
It does say that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, but overall, I enjoyed it, taking it as taking my mind out of it as a Christmas book, but just as a book itself, I think you'd probably enjoy it better just as a book on its own merit, not trying to get the Christmas feels out of it. Um, and there are some great quotes in the book that I thought were really thought provoking,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciated reading them. And um, there was one I just I laughed at, and then I kept thinking about, and it was the line that says, "The golden rule is a two-edged sword. If some of us treated others as we treat ourselves, we would be jailed."
Yeah,
And like, ouch! Yeah, I needed
yeah,
to hear that.
yeah, yeah.
Bec-
There
so
was a lot of thought provoking in the movie. Like you brought up that if there's one day you can go back and erase, do you know what day it would be? And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that is an interesting question, to consider. But yeah, I really in the book, each book, the chapter opened up with like a entry from Elaine's diary, or not
Mm-hmm.
Elaine, Elisa's diary, and a lot of those were pretty cool. Those were
Mm-hmm.
really good, and um, and things. So, Art, you read more books than me. You're reading what 30 books this month?
I'm trying.
Yeah. For those that don't know, on the BookShelf Odyssey, Art has challenged himself to read 30 books this month. So, the Mistletoe Promise as a book by Richard Paul Evans. In your bookworm opinion, what do you think of it?
Um, Boy, I don't know. It's a good question. I like what you said. It's like they try to take these two ideas and mush them together. You've got the Hallmark film, which I think Hallmark plucked those parts out of it
Mm-hmm.
and then left the rest. So the Hallmark film feels pretty shallow and, in my opinion, barely can hold together as a film.
Right.
But I'm glad they took the stuff out,
Yeah.
and but anyway, then with the book, I thought overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. There were some great quotes in it. If I were to give it a rating, I would probably put 3 or 4 stars out of 5 or something, somewhere in that range. He had some great things to say about forgiveness and redemption, which I think is kind of a theme you find in Christmas stories a lot of time.
Yeah.
From Ebenezer Scrooge to to this story, you get stories of redemption. I like what one reviewer I read of the book said. She said this, that you should always strive to live in forgiveness and redemption. With that being said, it is not always easy, and that's my struggle with this book. It's not easy. Elise made a mistake that cost the life of her child. Nick made a mistake that cost others their life. They paid the price for that, and perhaps they find forgiveness. So this book was a bittersweet read. And she said there are parts she hated not because of the writing style, but because of the painful content, and then goes on from that. But I like what she says there, and that's kind of the thoughts I had as well, that this book deals with that heavy subject of forgiving yourself, of forgiving others. And I thought what he had to say about that was good, that anyone can find forgiveness and redemption. Although I got to be honest, and maybe this makes me an ugly person, it really pushed the line for me as to if I could forgive a person like that. But I'm a father, I have kids, and it kind of hit close to home for me. But and in any case, I appreciated it because it got me thinking deeply about that issue, which I always appreciate. But
Yeah.
overall, it for the parts that were Christmassy, I did enjoy them. I thought they were just really well written. It was parts of it were a lot of fun, and I was happy that they were able to be happy in the end. But it did feel a little forced and a little like a little too much at times. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wish we could merge the two together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to seen all the dates and interactions between Elise and Nick that were the dates and the parties. I would like seen that more in the movie, and maybe embrace some of that Cinderella theme a little bit more. Not totally, but just a little bit more, and then pull a few things out of there to give it a little bit more depth in the movie. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with Elisa's divorce in the movie, and in the movie she's working with her husband. He owns half the business she started. That would have been enough to be able to kind of make her a little bit of a Scrooge or a little bit depressed, and then you could see how a relationship, a solid, balanced relationship, or giving, caring relationship could pull her out of that spot, especially through Christmas, and then that would have gave the movie a little bit more depth than it would have been. It would have been as shallow as it was.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. And then maybe this was just me, but in the book, by the end, Nick comes across almost feeling like a stalker.
Yes.
Just because of that connection they had originally, and she forgot about him, but he didn't. And then he like finds her. Well, he doesn't hunt her down. He kind of just runs into her. But then I don't know, something about that just kind of was okay. That's weird. But
Yeah.
and then the lavish gifts and everything is kind of like, okay, boy, slow down here.
Yeah. That was one of the things that was like, one of the stipulations in it was supposed to be a contract, but they labeled it Mistletoe Promise. Was he got to buy her gifts
Yeah.
every day, and so yeah, it seemed a little bit much.
Mhm.
It,
Well, I
it
don't
seemed
know.
like he was a stalker because in the book he made the promise to get close to her,
Hmm.
but in the movie it was kind of a nonchalant kind of thing,
Yeah, I felt like it was a little more serious or deeper in the book, or
Yeah,
um, something like that along those lines.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because you find out when you read the book, you think he comes up to her with this proposal of this mistletoe promise as a way to kind of navigate the holidays, and then you find out that he actually used it to get close to her, So he had like ulterior motives behind it, and it was kind of like, it's interesting,
Yeah.
Which it would
Yeah.
have been more fun if it was just like, hey, let's just get through the holidays, and then kind of like the movie was, hey, let's
Yeah.
just get through the holidays, helping each other get through these parties, navigate these parties, so we don't have to be asked about girlfriends or getting married or any of that stuff. And then
Yeah.
it's a gradual thing, but I would say if it's on, watch the movie. If you're interested in the book and you think you can, grab a copy. It's not as far as the time involved to get it read, it's not a big ask.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's available in an audiobook. The narrator on the audiobook is very good,
Hmm.
which makes it really enjoyable. So
Yeah, I did the audiobook as well. So that's kind of my trick this month for getting through so many books is I just get the audiobook and speed it up a little bit. But
yeah, yeah, that's what
yeah,
I ended up doing. Just listening to it just a little bit faster than 100%, but
right.
it works.
Yep. But yeah. Um, where was I going with this thought? So I don't, the big question is the book better than the movie? In this case, I would say, looking at it as Christmas content,
Right.
the movie by far is better, just because I think they're able to show the holidays are painful for them, but
Mm-hmm.
doing it in a way that is a little more digestible for Christmas time.
Right.
Which again, I know that people have suffered tragedies at Christmas time. I know people who have, and it's not easy. But if you're looking at it for Christmas entertainment, I would go with the Hallmark movie for
Yeah.
sure. That they far and away just do a better job. Quality wise, I would say the book is better.
Yeah.
Which so I had to, after I watched the movie, I had to look up what the author thought of this, because I'm like, wow, that changed a big chunk out of his book. What did he think? But so I found this article that was he just said, yeah, I figured they would change stuff, and that's okay. The books can always go deeper than movies can, and he's just like, well, it is what it is. So I figured Hallmark must have given him a pretty big paycheck.
I'm sure they did. There is two more books in this series. I guess he wrote after Mistletoe Promise. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but I don't know if it's the same characters or not because at the end they kind of they kind of wrap the characters up in the book. I agree with you. I would say as far as like better, I think the book is better, but I think the movie's probably more enjoyable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for me, it's kind of like, yeah, Schindler's List is probably a better movie, but I'll watch Dumb and Dumber, every day of the week. You know, you know, not to compare those things, but as far as just the levity
Right.
of the movie and the quality of the movie kind of thing. Um,
Right.
the I did get Christmas feels from both, and must say I think I got more from the book. I think
Mm-hmm.
I felt more Christmas from um, the book, although there was a couple scenes in the movie that really got me, especially when they first got to New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just kind of, you know, they're in that hotel room and things are kind of quiet and the Christmas music's playing, and it's just anytime it gets quiet and Christmas music starts playing, I'm all in 100%. You know, I'm an easy sell on that. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, as far as the movie or book being better, this one it's kind of up in the air. I mean, if you're going for
Yeah.
quality of work, I'd lean book. If you're going for enjoyable entertainment value, I'd probably go movie. But I could see it if somebody switched it the other way just because of some of the subject matter in this
Mhm.
book. Just was like just too much. In fact, I got a message from a listener who said he got to the certain part of the book and he was done. He's like, I like my Christmas entertainment, you know, on the lighter side,
Yeah.
and so.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Art, I'm going to switch gears on you. That is a Mistletoe Promise book in the movie, which is better. I appreciate you taking the time to read that book and watch that movie so we could do this. And I'm going to throw a curveball here on you, one that I have, but I didn't tell you about because I didn't want you to think
Okay.
about it too much. For those
Okay.
that don't know, most of you probably do, but for those that don't know, Art is a big fan of this little book called A Christmas Carol. He,
Heard of it.
yeah, it's by uh, Charlie Dickinson
Yeah.
and
Now you're pushing my buttons.
and I just have this question. We was talking about books and movies.
Yeah.
So, which is your favorite movie adaptation of A Christmas Carol?
Boy, that depends on the mood I'm in. Honestly, I love the Alistair Sim version. I have a lot of nostalgia in it. I can remember watching it as a kid with my dad and my grandpa. They would have it on TV, and I really like his performance as Scrooge. Um, but I got to be honest, The Muppets Christmas Carol is not only a good movie, it is a pretty faithful adaptation of it as well.
Yeah.
Even with Muppets in it. And I even have it on good authority that Gerald Dickens himself, who's the great great grandson of Charles Dickens, says that that's his favorite version as well, the Muppets Christmas Carol. So if the descendant of Charles Dickens likes it, then you know that's got to be the definitive version of the Christmas Carol. Uh, I would almost go as far to say that there's never really been a bad adaptation, but I don't dare say that
Right.
because I know there's a few that just didn't work. But I always enjoy it when there's an interesting twist
Yeah.
to an adaptation, or they try to take it from a different perspective. Um, so I'm more open to that. But yeah, those are probably my two top favorite versions, and it'll depend on my mood.
Yeah. Both those are really really great uh, versions. Now I got another Christmas Carol movie question to ask you.
Okay.
Which Hollywood actor or actress you think could play the next great Ebenezer Scrooge?
Ooh. Um, Boy, that's a good question. I'm always up for it, but no. um, I was just thinking, kind of, I don't know why he just popped in my head, but is it Tom Hiddleston who
Yeah.
plays Loki?
Yeah.
I think maybe he'd do a good job.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I think he could do that. He might be a Scrooge that has a little more of an impish quality about him. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I like the range. He can certainly do the range of being, evil. Not necessarily evil, but just mean
Yeah.
to kinder. I Benedict Cumberbatch, he did a great Grinch, so he could probably do Scrooge as well. But yeah, I'm going to go with the with Tom Hiddleston from Loki. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not a thing I had thought of for Scrooge, but I think that would work. Kind of the person that kind of came to my mind when I thought of this question was Denzel Washington.
Mm.
I would like. I think he would be really great in that role. Kind of grumpy, and then can be really redeemed at the end, type thing. I also I kind of try to think of some other actors, but that's just seems like a tough role to play because you have to be
Yeah.
mean but keep a likable characteristic about you, so there's something that people want to hold on and to care about, all the way through.
Yeah. Like a couple years ago when BBC did the Christmas Carol with Guy Pearce in it,
Uh-huh.
I had high hopes for that because I thought he'd be a good fit, but
Right.
they they really talk about your hard turn. They really took a hard turn, and like I said, I don't mind adaptations, especially big changes. If I always say if you want the original, then just read the book.
Right.
It's fine. But it I think they almost made him too unlikable because I don't know if you saw it, but especially what he did with Cratchit's wife and everything, I just thought, you know what, that's just too far.
Yeah.
That's too far for me. So yeah, so I think you can take a hard turn and go too far on on that,
Yeah.
but it is a good balance.
Yeah.
You gotta walk that line.
Yeah. We have a comment down the Santa Dad suggesting John Lithgow.
John Lithgow. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. He's always good. He's always really funny, but then when he plays a bad guy, he's always like super evil.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a wonderful win. Well, guys, this wraps up this episode of Christmas Clatter. Art, let everybody know where they can find you.
All right. Well, I am on the internets, so you can find me there. No, you can go to cozychristmaspodcast.com, and that's my website for the Christmas podcast. I have high hopes of it actually being functional someday, but you can find the podcast there, or you can just go to cozychristmaspod.com. It just takes you right to the hosting side of the podcast. But and then for the BookShelf Odyssey, I'm on YouTube. You can just look up BookShelf Odyssey. I pop up. I also have on Fridays. It's going to start coming out more regularly, but on Fridays I'll be having an author interview, which will be my podcast. And there is just an audio only version you can subscribe to if you like your podcast to be audio versus visual. But then on YouTube, I post additional video content and different like reading wrap-ups and talk about some of the book challenges that a group of us are doing, just different things like that. October, if you like Charles Dickens, I have some Charles Dickens video ideas I'm working on. So if you want to follow me over there, you can find out that if and when it happens. Turns out the thing I need the most of is more time.
Yeah, I hear you there, my friend. I hear you there.
Yeah.
All the links to Art's everythings will be in the show notes and descriptions. That way you guys will just be a tap away. I want to encourage each and every one of you to join us on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, because for those that we have a special Q&A with Art that's not a part of this podcast episode. It's only for those on the live stream. So if you guys get a chance to hang out with us live, please do so. We would love to have you. But until then, remember, keep Christmas hope alive every day. All right, guys. Thanks so much, Art. If anybody has a question for Art or anything, just let it put it in the comments. Please begin your question with a Q colon. That'll help me find it a little quicker amongst everything. But Art, we have a few extra names here for the old who should play the next great Scrooge.
I saw some of those.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta rearrange that somehow. That got. Give me a second, guys, here to work on this.
Yeah, I think Ken, you had asked about my coffee cup here. I have an Etsy store where I sell some merch, and you can find it there. You can also find my new latest T-shirt here. It says Christmas Nerd. I make a lot of this stuff just for my own entertainment, but when but so then I figure if somebody else wants to buy it, why not? I'll throw it out there. So
Yeah, yeah, but Tom Hanks. Ken suggests Tom Hanks. After seeing him in the Elvis movie, he can transform into any character. So, yeah, Tom Hanks is one of those guys that's just kind of really great at everything he does, and he definitely could. And I think back when I was doing that recast miscast spot, I was planning on doing It's a Wonderful Life, and or maybe I did. I can't remember now, but I cast Tom Hanks as Mr. Potter, in that, but. And then Holly added Meryl Streep playing female Scrooge, and that would work very well.
She'd probably get another Oscar nomination for that.
Yeah, she would. I mean, she like plays lady number 3 crossing the street in the background, and she'll get an Oscar nomination for that. So
yeah, definitely.
But Santa Dad, here has a question. I'm a really big fan of A Christmas Carol. Do you have any thoughts on the Jim Carrey animated film? I enjoy it and watch it every year.
Well, I do have some thoughts on that. Yeah. Some of them I can't share. No. No. I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey. I know he's not for everyone, but he's more times than not, he's like my favorite Grinch. His movie. I know not everybody loves that movie, but I absolutely love him in The Grinch and just about anything he's done. So I do really like his performance as Scrooge. I thought he did a great Scrooge.
Right.
The movie I liked, except there were, I think they were trying to film for 3D. And so a lot of it just seems like it's filler, or they're trying to say, look how neat this shot is, and how, the some of the big swooping shots, and like the random pursuit scene there at the end with the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. I just personally, I thought it just took away, it just added some kind of, I don't know, staleness or something to the film overall. But yeah, it's like I really liked what Jim Carrey did, and I think who else is in that film? Gary Oldman.
Right.
Just wasn't he Bob Cratchit? I thought he did phenomenal.
I believe so, if I remember right.
As Bob Cratchit, and it had me wanting to see it as a live action film instead, because I thought those two did it great in those roles.
Right.
I mean, Gary Oldman could do Scrooge. There's another good Scrooge, I think. But yeah. So overall, but I need to rewatch it because I think I've only seen it once or twice back when my kids were younger. Mm-hmm. But I was just talking about it with somebody not too long ago, and they said they really loved it, and I think, well, it might be time for a rewatch on that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I've seen it a few times. It used to stream on Netflix. I don't know if it still does or not anymore, but I think it still is. Mikey's suggesting Carrie. I don't know how to pronounce this last name. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he was Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes.
is what he played in. Best adaptation of Robin Hood ever, probably
Mm.
there. But
Yep.
but um, yeah, I would say that. I would say that that would be just fine for me
Hmm.
as well. So,
Hmm.
oh, Henry Winkler version. Michael says I really disliked it, but kept watching it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many movies I've done that with. So
Why am I watching this? Yeah, this is
yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
Oh, it's on again. Okay.
yeah. I hear you. I hear you. It's just something different, but yeah, there was that one adaptation of A Christmas Carol. It's like the white trash version, like in the trailer park kind of thing. A lot of people do it. You um, it's not really a direct adaptation of a book. It's just kind of they just adapt the plot points of being, grouchy, mean person gets visited by ghosts and changes, but kind of throw away anything else that has to do with you know that time in England or London. So
Hmm.
so you see those a lot, and that one I can't think of it now. American Carol or something like that, maybe is the name of it. It was pretty terrible, you
Hmm.
know. And
Yeah.
as a fan of The Office, I kind of wish The Office would have did a version of like a extra long Christmas special about an hour long, um, adaptation of A Christmas Carol with Michael Scott as the Scrooge character, and they could have did all kinds of zany stuff there. I think it would have been pretty hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially, and they could have still kept the cameras too. They could have had the camera crew helping them to stage some kind of a ghostly intervention or something.
Right.
I could see that working. I
Yeah.
could see that working.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. Arnie at Pepper Tree Villa says that they like Henry Winkler. He's in one of their favorite Hallmark movies, The Most Wonderful Time of the Year. Is that the one with Brooke Burr in it, where he plays the dad and meets the guy on the plane and stuff? Because if that's the right one, that is a pretty good one. Is it Brooke Byrne? Brooke Burns? I can't remember now. Um, but yeah, he's in that one, and that is a really good one. It's kind of, you can just tell it's a little different than other Hallmark movies, the way it's kind of put together with Henry Winkler in there and stuff. But he plays a really lovable character in that movie. I mean, he's a fantastic actor. So,
Hmm.
but
Oh, there was one Hallmark. I think it was Hallmark. Is it called Dear Santa? Maybe, and it
yep.
has Amy Acker in it.
Uh huh.
I really I liked that one quite a bit. I haven't seen a lot of them, but she's an actress I enjoyed, so
Right.
I happened to watch that one, and I thought that was a really good film and very Christmassy.
Yeah. There's one. There's one with the Candace Cameron Bure, and she's in a shoe store or something, if I remember right. And it's not good at all. It's just crazy.
The,
So
the only one I've seen with her in it is uh, she plays a dual role. She's twins,
oh yeah,
and they swap places. One's a high-powered executive, and the other one is a
yeah,
teacher or something. And she has to put on the Christmas play that year, and um, she's trying to struggle to get by, and she's living in this giant house, and like, okay, sure. uh, which I loved because apparently it's supposed to take place in Denver, but the opening scene was a shot of Salt Lake City,
yeah,
or maybe it was the other way around. But it was obviously they didn't even try to hide the fact that that scene. When you have a city that has such a noticeable skyline, it's like they didn't even try.
yeah, yeah. Santa,
I mean,
Santa Dad's got another question for us. He
okay.
says, "I'm planning on doing a video / post on the Batman adaptation of A Christmas Carol. Any thoughts on that story?"
I haven't read that. I'm not.
Uh,
haven't been into a lot of comic books, mostly because to me it feels like somebody trying to come into the MCU right now. It's like, where do I start? There's so much. Um, so I haven't ever really, and plus as a kid, we never bought comics anywhere
Yeah.
or could afford them at times. Um, but I do like comic book movies.
Yeah.
But I think I remember the Test the podcast talked about that. And that sounds like an interesting concept.
Yeah, I think they may have talked about the Long Halloween, which takes
Okay.
place over like a year. I, Sanad, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Noel is, I think it's a limited series, so it's probably something you could just grab and read a few books of, or it might be available all in one book. You know, it's been a long time since I even looked through it, and to be honest with you, you may hate me for this, Sanad, but I'm not a big Batman fan at all. I enjoy Batman, and you know, but as far as like getting into the weeds with Batman, if it's not surface level, I just kind of just don't really remember a lot. I'm sure I'm sure it's wonderful because it has such a big following, um, and it's something that comes up year round, year round. It's kind of um, slowly becoming this kind of like cult Christmas classic for those people. It's kind of like, uh, it's like, Christmas rolls around, and it like is reborn every year. So I'm hearing more and more about it. It would not surprise me if um, Noel becomes like an actual like mainstream uh, Christmas tradition for a lot of people, because I kind of feel that same kind of reverberations coming up. It's like every year it gets a little stronger and a little stronger, and stuff. So I have a feeling, within a handful of years or so, it's going to be really kind of a mainstream thing. And I could see, if DC / Warner Brothers is, really smart, if they came out with a really nice like Christmas bound edition, that just really sold it. I think they could really take it and run, and avoid making it into a really bad movie would be ideal thing to do, But I need to revisit that. It's been a while since I even cracked open a Batman book of any kind to see. But as far as the story itself, I can't really give you anything detailed on it. But
Hmm.
yeah, so yeah, I was right about that Candace Cameron Beret Shoe Addicts Christmas. So yeah, Sean loves the Hallmark movie, The Christmas Ornament. I don't remember that one, Sean. Um, a lot of times the titles kind of run together. They really have to stick out. Now I was sitting there when we was talking. There was one Hallmark movie, and Holly, if you're still listening, maybe you remember better than me. There was one we watched last year, or maybe the year before. Um, that was like spectacularly good. It was like, that's not just a good Hallmark movie. That just was a good movie.
Hmm.
And it was a Christmas movie, but I cannot remember for the life of me the name of it, or anything about it. I just remember at the end that was like a legit good movie. I mean, it wasn't Oscar material, but it just was head and shoulders above the rest, as far
Sure.
as the way it was put together. And not that it had anything that was different than Hallmark ever did. It was just some reason it just all worked, and it was so good that I can't remember nothing about it or the name, or, or anything. I just remember sitting there saying that how much I just have to rack my brain a little bit. The recallability, uh, the one with this is how conversations go in our house. The one with the tiny blonde lady,
Yep.
that may
Oh,
that may be it. That might, yeah, that's the Hallmark movie. Yep, the one with
yeah.
the tiny blonde lady. uh,
I love it.
oh man.
Okay.
Arnie says we
Hey,
love Christmas ornament. We saw the movie on Hallmark and rushed out the next day and bought that ornament to go on our Christmas crystal tree every year now. Oh, then I need to check out the Christmas ornament myself, and I probably seen it, but I don't sure. 2013, directed by Mark Jean, starring. Alrighty, I will. A Christmas Love Story with Christian Chenoweth. That was. I think that was it. I think that was it. If I remember correctly. So, Sean, you gave us some homework. We'll have to check out the Christmas ornament because to see, because guys at Pepper Tree Villas are seconding that motion there. So, yeah, the film was about a young widow unable to celebrate Christmas because memories invoked until she meets a Christmas tree shop owner. Yeah, that sounds cool. I like that, Sean. I like that quite a bit. That kind of sounds like what a Christmas promise should have been a little bit, as far as the movie went, So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Hallmark Hall of Fame movie. That's cool. Another one I liked, and I can't remember the name of it, is the one with the country singer guy from Chesapeake Shores, and he works at the tree farm in the middle of the city. That was a pretty good one. Christmas Under the Stars. Maybe that's the name of it. That one I enjoyed. It was pretty good. I enjoyed that one. I don't know if it really got great reviews or not, but I liked it. So.
Yeah, I just haven't seen enough of them. So
yeah, I'm completely with you, Santa Dad. Completely with you, sir.
Visual volume.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
that's about right. Yeah.
It helps her start her own cookie business and rediscover its spirit. Now that's what I can get into.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And was that the
Christmas ornament?
Okay.
Yeah, the Christmas ornament. So, yeah, definitely she's the tiny blonde lady. So, yeah, that's how we get stuff around our house. I can't think of something, and I just start going in randomness, and then Holly just slings out some more specific words, but really kind of general, and then we'll just keep narrowing them down till we get them. So.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, Art, I appreciate you hopping on here and being my first guest on a live stream. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And things. It's been a lot of fun. And just a reminder, for everyone, we'll be live. Next week as well. I have another guest next week, and I'll probably be having guests through Christmas. I might have a solo show here or there, but I should be with a guest. We have we'll be talking about another book next week. This is a teaser for those that are watching the live stream or the replay. This year, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas turns 200 years old. And, it's the bicentennial of that famous poem that really shaped a lot of Christmas traditions and Christmas imagery. And a lady has wrote a very extensive history book on that. So she'll be on here and to talk about the history of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and that'd be next week on Christmas Clatter. Guys, thanks so much for hopping in here in the chat and keeping me and Art company, putting up with our shenanigans, my shenanigans for trying to get this thing to work right. And it's because of you guys we are able to have hopefully build. I think we're well on our way to build the best Christmas community on YouTube. That's the plan here at Christmas Clatter, to be a place for people to come enjoy for the love of Christmas and the love of one another. So until next week, guys, like I said a while ago, keep Christmas hope alive every day.